Broadcasting from the Business RadioX studio in Alpharetta, it's time for ProfitSense with Bill McDermott.
Good morning. Welcome to ProfitSense. This podcast dives into the stories behind some of Atlanta's successful businesses and business owners and the professionals that advise them. We help local business leaders get the word out about the important work they're doing to serve their market, their community, and their profession, as well as discuss current issues that business owners are facing across a wide variety of industries. I'm your host, Bill McDermott, and this show is presented by the Profitability Coach. When business owners want to increase their profitability, they don't often know where to start or what to do. We leverage our knowledge and relationships to identify the hurdles getting in the way and create a plan to deliver profitability they never thought possible. We have three great guests on the show today. We have Katie Taylor with K.B. Taylor Marketing. Katie, welcome.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here today.
And we have Bruce Burkholder with RESJ PC CPA firm. Bruce, welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having us.
And we also have Peter Faser with the Profitability Coach. Peter, so glad you're here.
Yeah, thank you, Bill.
Katie, we're gonna start with you. Marketing, the number one weakness in many growing firms. I'd really like to start out with just getting to know you a little bit. Tell our audience a little bit about yourself and a little bit about your business.
Okay. Well, I have had a long career in marketing. I've been at this for more than 3 decades and have worked in a variety of marketing communication positions throughout my career. Some very large organizations like SunTrust, some smaller ones, community banking. So I spent quite a bit of time in financial services. I also worked for Georgia Tech for 5 years on its branding and communications.
Go Jackets.
Yeah, go Jackets. And so, but for the past 11 years, I have been working as an independent marketing consultant, helping small to medium-sized businesses and some nonprofits, industry associations with their marketing needs. And I primarily work with businesses that provide services. So whether it be professional services like law and accounting or commercial real estate, financial investment firms. But I mean, I've had retail clients. The main common ingredient to all of them is that they're small to medium sized and they don't have an internal marketing resource. And they just don't have themselves the expertise or skills to carry out their marketing for their business.
You know, having been a business owner myself and trying to understand marketing, it is a little bit of a confusing topic and a much needed service out there. So could you talk a little bit about the types of services that you do provide clients?
Sure. Yes. Since I've been at this for a while, at some point or another, I've had experience with just about everything you could come across in marketing. But what I really do is try to provide a full range of marketing services to my clients, communications and branding. So we work on marketing plans, strategies and budgets, determining what tactics are going to help them meet their goals and objectives, do a lot of brand work. And when I talk about branding, which we can talk about a little bit further, that's not necessarily the logo, but understanding, how your company is different. Do a lot of logo and visual identity development, working with a really talented creative director. Do website development, sales materials, advertising, whether it's print or digital, email marketing, social media, public relations. So it's really a wide variety. It really gets down to understanding the client, what their goals and objectives are and what they need. And then we customize it to help them meet their needs and grow their business.
Yeah, such important work that you're doing too. We're talking to Katie Taylor with K.B. Taylor Marketing. Katie provides strategic marketing communications and brand consulting for small to mid-size service-based businesses and nonprofits. Katie offers a range of solutions that include marketing, planning, branding and messaging, logo and visual identity development, website development, and online marketing, sales material development, social media, email, content development, advertising, and public relations. Just about anything and everything. So, Katie, after working as a small business marketing consultant for more than a decade, you likely have witnessed the many challenges that small business owners face. What are some of the most common marketing mistakes you encounter?
Well, I think the number one thing that I see all the time is just a lack of a marketing plan and no strategy or budget. And I mean, I get it. You start out small, you don't have a budget, and you want to grow, but you really can't grow unless you put some effort into your marketing. So that's the number one thing. And then the number two thing I see is just a lack of an understanding of branding. And we can talk about that again more in a few minutes. I also see that, small business owners are some of the busiest people on earth, right? And so they just don't have time to focus on marketing. And so then that leads to not investing in marketing. And it also leads to what I like to call reactionary marketing, where you're just reacting to opportunities that come along, but you've not really got a way to filter them to see if they make sense for your business. And the other two that I see are trying to do it all yourself. And then I think this is a big one too, is just expecting immediate results from your marketing efforts. I mean, there are very few things you're just going to turn a switch on and see, a lot of business coming in. So it's sticking with things and sticking through them. So those are some of the common things that I see. But, that all of this really, what I think boils down to is really the business owners just not having the experience or expertise in marketing. And so let's just start with not having a plan. Not only do most small businesses not have a marketing plan, but they don't have a budget. And often, I'll get calls from somebody saying, hey, we need a new website. Our marketing's not going that well. And we need to do some online advertising. And I'm like, well, you might, and that might be your case. But, if we haven't taken time to do some of these other things, what if we do these things and build a website and then they don't come? I mean, of course, having a website is important, but it's just, again, you're kind of jumping over the fundamentals and starting to execute tactics without really having a plan or strategy in place. So that's where I say having an annual marketing plan that supports your growth objectives is really the best idea. That way you also budget in advance. I mean, look, resources for small businesses are tough. I mean, they don't have a lot of money to invest in marketing. But what a plan does is help you figure out your goals and then take your budget and spend them the best way you can. And that may not be spending a bunch of money on online ads that aren't going to get you where you need to be. So, and again, I think it helps avoid this reactionary marketing because, for example, at the last minute, you get a call. This happens to everybody. Hey, can you sponsor this event in the community next week? Or is a civic event coming up? And you're tempted to do it because it sounds great, but you didn't have a plan. So you don't really have anything to measure it by. Like, is this going to be the right audience that's going to be there? Is it going to be worth our money? Are we going to get a return on it? But, when you do have a plan in place, hopefully what you've done is started the year out looking for those events in your community, civic organizations that you want to be involved with, and you've got them on your plan at the beginning of the year, and you know how much they're going to cost. And you've put them on the plan because they fit this criteria to help you get to where you want to go. Now, opportunities do come up during the year. I get that. But when you've got a plan, you've got some criteria to measure it against, and you can say, well, gosh, we didn't know about this at the beginning of the year, but I think it does sound good. And then maybe you move something off your budget that maybe just isn't going to bring you as much. So again, having that plan, I think, really helps you make it through the year and help you stay focused on trying to meet your goals.
Yeah, one of the things that occurs to me is I'm thinking of the sequence ready, aim, fire. Maybe a lot of business owners, when it comes to marketing, are firing before they get ready, have a plan, and then aim, be
That's
strategic
true.
about it.
And some people have been successful doing that. That's what happens. But what I find is it catches up with you at some point. And so you can have some success doing it yourself for a while, but then there's a point, I think, in the growth cycle of the business where the business owner realizes this is getting too big. I'm not seeing the results I need. Maybe I need some help.
Yeah, and I think the other thing, I love the word that you said, invest in marketing.
Right.
Because I encounter a lot of mindsets out there that view marketing as a cost.
Right.
And marketing is an investment.
It is.
You're entitled to a rate of return. You're going to have to spend money to make money.
Absolutely.
But you also want to measure the effectiveness of your marketing to be sure that you're getting a return.
That's true. And, without having a plan, it's hard to measure it.
Yeah.
Because you haven't really put down your objectives.
Yeah, you can hit any target if you don't have an aiming point.
Right. Exactly.
We're talking today with Katie Taylor, K.B. Taylor Marketing. Outside of work, Katie's involved in a number of organizations, serving on the board of directors of her neighborhood civic association and HEAT, H-E-A-T Incorporated. She's actively involved in her church, where she recently served as lay leader and currently is a member of the Staff Parish Relations Committee. Also, she's actively involved in the Piedmont Garden Club. Katie, I love to garden, so we have that in common. And also serves on the Ansley Golf Club Communications Committee.
Yeah, when you're in communications, you get pulled into a lot of different organizations quickly. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I want to shift the conversation. You had mentioned that many small business owners don't have a grasp of their brand.
Right.
Why is branding just as important for a small business as it is for a large business?
Yeah, it is, because branding is, first of all, if you're good at branding, your marketing dollars that you spend are going to be more effective, right? Because you're going to be better at reaching your audience. And I'm not talking about your logo here. Your visual identity is certainly important, and it is a part of your brand, but your brand really should inform your visual identity. So I spend time with clients developing what I call like a brand and message platform. So we go through a process where I dive deep and really get to know their business, and we spend a lot of time really defining target audiences and making sure we understand those and the demographics. And it's so important to understand those audiences, because that's the tactics in your marketing plan need to reach them. And so I do find sometimes people don't have as much detail and information about their audiences that they need. So, but reaching your target audience isn't enough, right? Because from there, you have to let them know why they should do business with you. So if your sales pitch isn't effective, then you can't motivate them to buy. So we spend time identifying key attributes of the business and the differentiators so that we can develop a value proposition and key messaging. And the key messages are those top reasons why someone should do business with you. And they need to be used consistently across all channels. And, the visual brand, like I said, that's very important also. And you need good quality creative across all your channels to help raise awareness, just like you do the messaging. So really they go hand in hand, but really you really need to start with the value proposition and messaging and why you're different so that your marketing efforts are more productive.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. So what about online marketing and its importance for small businesses?
Well, it's very important. So, whether it's you call it online marketing or your online presence, it's essential for all businesses. Determining where you need to be online and what you need to spend online really does depend on your business model. If you're a boutique law firm that gets nearly all of your clients from referrals, you don't need to be paying for online ads, but you do need a top-notch website, because the first place somebody goes after they get a referral is they go to your website and they check you out and they want to see what your credentials are. And so your website is helping to build trust so that hopefully that person who got the referral will give you a call. And, but other businesses, like for example, if you operate a home services business, then a robust online marketing program with paid ads is essential. So just the point is there's no right answer. It depends on your business. And I think too many people think, I've got to be paying for online ads. Well, if you haven't looked, Atlanta's a very expensive media marketplace. That's just out of reach for some small businesses, which means going back to that marketing plan, you better have some other more traditional tactics in there, but with a good online marketing presence, because people are finding you online. You just may not be able to pay for those ads, right? And social media, of course, is really important. But the channels to incorporate also depend on your business. And many small business owners, particularly those in the B2B world, really neglect their LinkedIn company pages and their LinkedIn profiles. And so I actually spend a lot of time helping my business clients with those things. They don't want to do it. I convince them and they're like, I really don't want to do it. I'm like, give me your password. And I go in there. I can't tell you how many, they can trust me, but I go in there and I'm fixing LinkedIn profiles, because the thing is, if you're a really small business, you are the face of your business. So, and people are looking on LinkedIn in that B2B world. So we need to make sure your presence, there. But, if your business relies on Facebook and Instagram, I mean, all those channels need to be built out and managed well, and they need to look good. So I think the challenging side of online marketing for small businesses is where I think the temptation to do it yourself is the greatest. Unfortunately, there are many, services out there that promote how easy it is to build your own website. Oh, like Squarespace and Wix, they're excellent programs, but they're not easy. Again, and with the email marketing, with MailChimp, Constant Contact, I mean, again, they're not easy. And I just can't tell you how many times I've had clients call and say, okay, I tried to do this myself. I just can't do it. And had a friend of mine recently, the same thing. He's like, I'm really struggling. And he was one I thought actually maybe one of the one people who could maybe do it on his own, and he couldn't do it. So just that you do need to work with somebody on those. And I think it will actually save you money and save you time. I mean, if you're a business owner, you've got other things to be doing than spending hours and hours and hours trying to teach yourself how to build a website. And the thing is, then in the end, if you haven't done your branding, it's not even going to be on brand and look like you, like it should to do what you need it to do for you. So, there are plenty of digital marketing specialists out there who can help, and website development firms who know what they're doing. They're at all price points. You can find somebody, small and talented to help you. But, and if you can't do it, that's like, as a marketing consultant, we go out and find those resources. I mean, I have a web developer, my creative director, we build sites in Squarespace. So there are people out there who can help you. And where somebody like me helps then is we make sure that it's on brand, it's on strategy, and that it's going to help you meet your goals.
Yeah, just a wealth of advice that you're sharing here based on your experience and expertise. I really want to now ask you, for our listening audience, do you have any final thoughts or recommendations for the small business owners that are listening to this podcast?
I do. I think the number one thing is to really try to make marketing a priority. And I know it's hard, but you've really got to try to do that. And I know how busy you are, but you need to figure out how to remain focused on your marketing and remain focused on it throughout the year. What I say right now is we're in October, it's fourth quarter, we're approaching the end of the year. This is the time to start thinking about 2025. It's a great time to work on your marketing plan for next year. And if you've never had one, the first year is hard getting it together, but then the good thing is like the following years, you're evaluating how that did, you're making adjustments, but you're not starting from scratch. So review what you've done this year, what's worked, what hasn't worked so well, and then set goals and objectives that match where you want your business to be. I mean, I talked with a potential client yesterday, and they're wanting to scale up their business and be able to sell down the road. And they've been around 20 years, but haven't had a solid marketing plan. So they've done okay. But again, like I was saying earlier, you kind of get to a point in the business life cycle that, well, you know what, doing the website ourselves, maybe this is kind of getting beyond us. But so I would say, this is a great time to be thinking about that. And again, if you don't have the expertise or somebody in your business with marketing expertise, I think you should consider outsourcing, your marketing to a consultant. And also the other thing is, don't fall into the trap of hiring a digital marketing firm to be your marketing consultant. They're really good at what they do. I don't do what they do. I mean, it's a skill set. I mean, these people all day long are dealing with the algorithms and Google, and they know what they're doing. It's like hard to do that yourself. So I don't even do that. We're going to work with a third party if it's going to be something, that technical. You don't want me spending a big budget and not spending it wisely. But what I do then is oversee it, right? And make sure that the campaigns are on strategy. They look good. They're on brand. That's where a marketing consultant can help, and they can help you spend your money wisely. Again, I've had clients, come across where they've already hired a web development firm, and I've looked at what they were paying, and I'm like, you're paying way, way too much. And I just say this because sometimes business owners, they don't really know what something should cost. Right. And I think a good marketing consultant can help with that.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm sure there are some of our listeners that are DIYers. They don't have a plan when it comes to marketing. Mm-hmm. So what's the best way for them to get in touch with you and your firm?
Well, if they want to reach out, I've got a website, and they could go to kbtaylormarketing.com, and my phone number is on there, and I'd be glad to talk to you.
That'd be great. Katie, thanks so much, and
You're
thanks
welcome.
for talking about such an important topic. Marketing is hard, and it takes a professional to do it. So thanks for sharing.
Well, thank you. I've enjoyed being here today. Great.
We're switching to Bruce Burkholder. Bruce, excited to have you, and just want to kind of kick off, while the number one weakness in growing firms is marketing, the number two weakness is accounting. So I really kind of just want to start with your background a little bit. How did you get into public accounting and professional services?
Yeah, sounds great. Again, thanks, Bill, for having me on the show. Really excited to be here. So I didn't really grow up knowing much about public accounting or professional services. Didn't really have anybody in my life that was close to me in those circles. But, it just kind of found me. I went to college and studied business administration, and figured I'd end up in finance or management or something like that. And my sophomore year, I started taking this thing called accounting, and which turns out to be the language of business. And so about halfway through the semester, the professor kind of pulled me aside and just said, "Hey, Bruce, you're enjoying it. You're doing well. Anything you can do with business administration, you can do with accounting, really anything you can do with accounting, you can do with business administration," but really pushing me more to the accounting side of things. And he was just a very personable professor and mentor, and someone that we keep in touch with to this day. And so he just had a big influence on talking me through different opportunities I may have in accounting that I wouldn't necessarily have in business, and just really encouraged me to switch my major to accounting. And so I said, okay, well, I'll think about that, and kind of went back and talked to some of my mentors and my parents, and ultimately decided to get into the next semester of accounting, where you really start to cut your teeth to see if it was really, if I was going to do well in that as well, maybe it was worth switching. So ultimately I did switch my major to accounting, and so thankful that, I had that guidance and that, kind of insight, and kind of just worked my way through there, and got my first job with a big accounting firm in Atlanta, and have kind of since settled into the profession on more of a smaller firm side, and really just kind of found my place. So yeah, really, it's a little bit about how I ended up in accounting, and just really happy to be in the profession.
Looking back a little bit on those school years, those formative years, do you see strengths and personality traits that maybe someone who's thinking about getting into accounting helped you get to where you are today?
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny looking back. It's really, it's interesting, because I very much see that. I've always had a knack for numbers, but not the advanced level math. My brother's an engineer, and I leave that to him, the calculus and the differential equations and all of that. But just being good with sequences of numbers and patterns of numbers, and just kind of, we kid around that CPA stands for cannot perform arithmetic. So, we always have our 10 keys and our Excel, formulas close by to us. But, just kind of having a knack for numbers, things like that. And then also just relationships. I've always been very relationship driven. And even, it's funny, my parents have since talked about, they know what I do and how much I deal with relationships in the profession. And they've said, even when you were a kid, there's 4 of us in my family, 4 siblings, you had a way of connecting with the elderly neighbors down the street and having relationships with them that your other siblings really did not. So even just looking back, I didn't know it at the time, but so much of what I do today and how I serve my clients and how I lead our team is based on relationships. And so I can see that connection now, 100%.
Yeah, that's a great story. Thanks so much for sharing that. We're talking with Bruce Burkholder, who is a manager with the firm Robbins, Eskew, Smith in Jordan. Bruce worked with Big Four firms and a large Atlanta firm. His expertise includes tax planning and consulting, audits, reviews, strategic business consulting, and financial statement services. So, Bruce, I kind of want to talk about something that I'm really passionate about. But since the language of I'm tripping over this, Bruce.
Accounting is the language of business.
Yeah, thank you.
Start over. Yeah, edit. That's my key word. Okay, now start over.
Edit. Bruce, talking about business owners, if the language of business is accounting, I've found that many business owners simply don't speak the language. So part of what is behind my question is, what do you think business owners should look for in a good CPA relationship?
Yeah, absolutely, Bill. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. Most business owners are clueless. They're good at running their business. They're good at those things. But when it comes to accounting, financial statements, tax planning, they've relied on someone that may or may not, be competent. Their financial statements are oftentimes unreliable. They're a mess. Their tax planning is haphazard at best. And so, there's a few things that that I'll share that I feel like are just critically important. And the first one is in the question, is just having a good relationship with your CPA. And that doesn't mean like they're my brother-in-law. That means like, really, does your CPA take the time to get to know you? Do they come talk shop at your place of business, to walk around and see that you put lights in that might qualify for tax credits? Do they, go to a baseball game with your kids? Do you have a relationship with them that's comfortable in such a way that they, your CPA firm is getting to know your business, you're getting to know them, and just really have that level of, just friendship, if you will, that you really feel like you can make a difference in their business? Or is it just more of this, surface level, talk once a year type thing? Because I mean, as a good CPA is going to be a trusted advisor, regular communication, things like that. So I'll just say relationship is critically important. Service, are they actually providing the service you need? Are your financial statements well kept? Is your tax planning thoughtful? Are they just, are they responsive? I tell folks, if you're not getting a response from your CPA and, within 24 to 48 hours at the latest, that's too long. If they need to follow up and say, hey, we'll get back to you on this, that's fine. But if they're just not calling you for weeks at a time, that's, do you really think they're taking care of you at that point? I'll say, so relationship, service, those are things to look for. Value, that's a huge one. I mean, is the CPA that you're considering working with or are working with, are they bringing you solutions, strategy? Are they proactive? Are they advisory? Are they sending you articles? Are they saying, hey, Georgia just passed this new law, or IRS is changing this regulation? They need to be bringing that value to you regularly and really just helping you make those decisions and guiding you on things. And then the last thing I'll mention, the fourth thing, would just be a team-based approach. If you can work with a CPA firm that has a team, you're going to benefit from that, because you're going to have several sets of eyes on your business, on your books. And, if someone's on vacation, there's going to be someone else who knows what's going on. So often we hear, we worked with this guy for years, and, he quit responding, and we found out 3 months later that he had passed away. And it's like, oh my goodness, like at that point, you're really in trouble for your business. So Sure. We like to tell our clients, like, look, you've got a team of folks who know what's going on. You're going to have probably a point person, but you're going to have a team of folks who know what's going on and are really ready to help and add value.
Yeah, such great advice. So I want to switch the conversation now, talking about challenges in accounting, as well as whether clients are facing those same challenges. Could you kind of share with our listeners, what is the biggest challenge or challenges you and your team at RESJ are facing moving into 2025 and the rest of the decade?
Sure. Yeah, I will say it's 100% people and staffing. You can Google shortage of accountants, and you'll have a dozen articles pop up. Newspapers like the Chicago Tribune and big newspapers all around the country are starting to run front page articles of, there's not enough accountants in the profession. What do we do? So we're very fortunate at our firm to have a great team and a great group of people, but we just can't have enough of them. The demand that's out there in our profession greatly exceeds the supply, just because we don't have as many people going into the profession as we used to, because it's hard work, and a lot of people just don't like hard work, unfortunately. So that's a challenge that we're facing. And so it just becomes critical for us to develop our people and also to really vet the businesses that we work with. Are these folks that will be good clients for us that we want to work with? Can we really partner with them in that way? So I would just say for us, people is a big challenge. And I will say for our clients as well. I, on a weekly basis, get calls from my clients, we need a bookkeeper, we need an accounting manager, we need a controller. Do you know anybody? Our bookkeeper is finally ready to retire. She's been with us 40 years. What do we do? And so, our clients are experiencing the same challenge as we are. So just helping them navigate that, whether it's exploring a fractional CFO or us maybe bringing some of those accounting services in-house or just being in tune with folks in the profession who can help them is critical.
Yeah. I see a lot of the jobs reports. We are adding jobs as a country, yet we still have full employment. But I have seen, it seems like the supply of CPAs is not meeting the demand. I'm wondering, was there ever a time, maybe historically, where the supply of CPAs exceeded the demand and maybe the market shifted a different direction? I'm just speculating at this point.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. I know that just, in the 80s and 90s and even into the 2000s, there were a lot more folks going into accounting. So I'm sure that there have been times where there's, more supply than demand, but really this started in probably 2016. So we're a couple cycles in now of 4 to 5 year degrees of folks just not being as interested in accounting. So it's something that we're, really, addressing and kind of working through that.
And so having accounting services is absolutely critical to any startup business. Businesses are forming at significant rates. They're going to need accounting support. So because there is a shortage, I'm sure the leadership team at RESJ is proactively addressing those issues. But how do you feel like your firm is positioning itself for success in the years ahead?
Yeah, so a couple things we've done, Bill, is we have really ramped up our internship program,
Nice.
Which a lot of other firms have done that as well, but that just kind of becomes an extended, 2 to 3 month interview where we can determine if these students, would be good fit for us, for our clients. Do they even like accounting? I mean, some finish that internship and they're like, man, I'm going to run as far away from accounting as I can. And some just absolutely love it. And then we hire them on as full-time folks. And so we've ramped up our internship program because again, there are fewer students in schools and universities and colleges. So we've had to go, earlier on into the pipeline to try to get them. We also, a few years ago, started what we call a summer leadership development program where we actually invite in students for a couple days and they interact with us at our firm, our team. We actually take them out to do client visits and meet some of our clients, and we go do Top Golf, just do fun, spend a couple days with them. And we schedule that for the end of the internship season in the summer so that we can have it be a capstone event for our current summer interns, but we also invite our incoming or prospective interns to join forward as well. So we've done that for 3 years now, and that's been something that, we've gotten a lot of, positive response to. I will say more with our existing team, we've just become more intentional with our coaching programs internally and our leadership development, and how do we, grow, kind of become a leadership factory within our firm to try to develop leaders that are going to, continue the firm for years to come.
Yeah, what a great strategy. I mean, the same way that you're talking about building your bench of talent through relationships is actually the same strategy that you're using to build relationships with your clients. And let's face it, we're all in people businesses. Even though we deal with numbers, it's really about those relationships that are built and maintained. Robbins, Eskew, and Robbins, Eskew, Smith & Jordan is a full-service accounting firm that strives to be a single-source provider of accounting, audit, tax, and business advisory services for their clients. They accomplish this goal by first getting to know each client's unique situation and financial objectives, and then devising sound strategies that you can rely on. Bruce, really what I want to switch the conversation to now is really, what do you enjoy most about your work, and what keeps you coming back engaged and energized for the work that you do at Robbins, Eskew, Smith & Jordan.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, happy to share on that, Bill. It's funny, you said earlier about everybody's in the people business. Truett Cathy used to say, we're not in the chicken business, we're in the people business.
Yeah.
And, I've heard it said of my profession, and so I'm borrowing this from somebody else, but what if we could be a people business disguised as a CPA firm? Like, wouldn't that be great if people just, it didn't even matter if we're doing tax work for them or financial statements for them. It was just about that relationship and about those people that we were serving. So for me, it sounds cliche, but it really is all about the people and the relationships. The accounting is great. I love a good financial statement that foots and, a cash flow that works out like we want it to, and just a great tax return that all comes together like a big puzzle, but it's all about the people behind those businesses. So for me, I just love calling clients. I love going to see clients, getting to know them better, and just making a difference in their lives. I could tell you stories of, finding $200,000 of tax credits and incentives that had just, completely been missed by the prior firm, or just all kinds of success stories of how we've made differences in clients' lives. But I just love, being able to talk to clients and help them out, help them run their businesses, and really see the difference we're making in their lives.
Yeah. People like to do business with people they know, like, and trust. And Bruce, it really sounds like you and your firm are onto something. You are in the people business. You just happen to deal with numbers. For any of our listeners that maybe have an accounting question or are unhappy with their CPA and looking to build a relationship with you or your firm, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say just go to our website at resjcpas.com. And I've got some contact information on there. My phone number's there, my email is there, or they can just call the office and ask for myself or one of our other, associates or partners at the firm. And we love the chance to get to know them a little bit. We are very, as I said, we're very relationship based. Some of my best clients I spoke to, for a year or two before we started working with them. So, would just look forward to hearing from folks and helping out if we can.
Yeah, great. Bruce, thanks so much for coming on the show today and sharing not only your experiences, but also your expertise. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
And so now we're switching to Peter Faser. Peter's with the Profitability Coach. And Peter, excited to have you on the show along with these two guests. So first, thank you for bringing these guests to the podcast. Really appreciate it. I want to kind of start off with your background brings really a unique perspective in helping business owners achieve their dream of building a company with intrinsic and transferable value. So tell us a little bit about your story.
Well, thanks, Bill, for having me on. It's my pleasure to introduce you to Katie and Bruce. Two people that I respect and are so very good at what they do and so very talented in building relationships. So my story is, it's interesting, Bill, because I got into banking 30 years ago with the intent of figuring out what industry I wanted to get into. And I heard it was a great place to go learn about all types of different companies. And what I found is that my natural skill set was to advise people and to help people and to teach people. And whether I was helping companies with the structure of their debt, whether it was helping with their capital stack, or whether it was taking them public or doing a secondary offering, or even merging companies together, what I found is that business owners, regardless of size, they need a guide. They need somebody to help them identify the problems that they're facing that is, in a way, prohibiting them from being the best version of themselves. And so after 30 years of commercial, corporate, and investment banking, you and I reconnected, and I learned a little bit more about your helping clients achieve their dreams of sustained profitability and sustainable cash flow. And it intrigued me because it really enabled me to take all of the things that I love to do and the things that I feel like I'm really good at and apply them in a way that helps change someone's future.
Yeah. And, I think business owners out there, building on what we talked a little bit about with Bruce, accounting is the language of business. A lot of business owners don't speak that language. That's just one of several things that business owners feel challenged by, but could you talk a little bit specifically on what ways you help business owners get control of their future?
Yeah, we've talked about it already today, that the number one thing business owners struggle with is financial acumen. And the cold hard truth is you've got 4.7 million, on average, new businesses start in the United States every year. Half of those will fail within the first 5 years. And only 10% of the ones that make it over 5 years will ever crest the $1 million in revenue mark. The number one hurdle that CEOs face is they have no financial knowledge. They are very, very smart people. They're entrepreneurial by nature. They really have a great product or service that they know how to sell and fill a void in the market. But what they don't fully understand is what the numbers are telling them. And to Bruce's point, when you can get a business owner to have a balance sheet that balances, to pay more attention to just top-line revenue, it is said that revenue is for vanity and that profit is for sanity. But neither one of those are going to help you make payroll. It's cash flow that does that. And getting a business owner to really think about what are they bringing to the bottom line and how much cash are they generating, that's where you can get them over that stress level.
We're talking with Peter Faser today. Peter has over 25 years of commercial, corporate, and investment banking experience. His passion has always been helping clients get to a better place financially, whether they're a small business or a publicly traded company. And so, Peter, if we were going to try to narrow it down on 5 key areas for CEOs to focus on in order to grow sustainable profitability and cash flow, what do you think those would be?
There's a common misconception, I think, of CEOs that when they're thinking about profitability, they think about raising prices, they think about increasing volume, and they think about cutting expenses. And all of those things can help in the short run. But the truth is there really are 5 fundamentals that, if you look at any successful business, they focus their energies around these. And those are, number 1, to have an appropriate vision for the company and understand what your values are. What is your focus for the company? A stranger should be able to walk into your organization and pull any one of your teammates aside and say, tell me what your company does, what do you value, and what's your focus? When you have that unified approach, it's the cornerstone, because the next is the people themselves, and understanding that you have to have the right people in the right seats. They have to get the job that they're in. They have to want the job that they're in, but they also have to be very good at the job that they're in. That's often a struggle. Look, people become emotionally attached to people that are in their organization, and it's not uncommon for some of those folks to not be able to grow with the demands and the expansion of the company. The next I would tell you would be to have all their processes systematized and memorialized. It should be a very clear roadmap for any new teammate coming on board to understand, hey, this is how we do things. It shouldn't be that they have to go to the water cooler and ask a fellow employee, hey, how does this get done? It should be very clear for everyone. Certainly, the next thing I would boil it down to is strategy and the execution of strategy. Some of the companies that I have seen do very, very well over the years are ones that start with a 10-year strategy. And they break that 10-year strategy down into measurable and achievable benchmarks, backing it up to maybe 5 years, and then 3 years, and then 1 year. And even going so far as to break that 1 year down into 90-day deliverables that the whole team can agree upon. Because if you start with the end in mind, which is the 10-year, and ultimately for a lot of companies, Bill, it's thinking about that liquidity event that they know is going to be a paradigm shift in their own personal financial statement. They've got to work themselves back to what do we need to be doing every day as an organization with the right people in place to make sure that they're supporting the values and the purpose and the culture of our organization to get ourselves there. The last thing is an understanding of the financials, which we've already talked about. But I tell you what I find most often is that if people are focused on these other 4, the financials, and I'll put a qualifier on this, almost take care of themselves. But you have to have those other 4 in place, and they need an equal amount of attention.
Yeah, that certainly makes sense. I want to shift the conversation now to when a business owner has decided to sell. You know, the baby boomer generation is retiring. They're retiring in droves. A lot of them own businesses. So for those baby boomers maybe that are listening and they've decided to sell, in your experience, what are the steps they need to take in order to have a successful outcome?
Oh, that's a great question, Bill. You know, I've already thrown some statistics out to you, so I'll pile on another one. With privately held companies who want to sell their business, unfortunately, 80% of those are not going to be successful. And the primary reason that they're not successful is the entrepreneur that started that company has all of this intellectual knowledge in their head. And oftentimes, if you look at the org chart, they are in charge of sales and marketing. They're in charge of operations. And they also happen to be in charge of the finance team. They fail to elevate themselves out of working in the business and elevate themselves to working on the business. And so one of the things that I tend to notice is that if you've not elevated and delegated, the intrinsic value in your company is you, the CEO. And if you're going to sell to whether a financial or a strategic buyer, you're going to have to stay on because you are the company. So then what's the point of selling? Now, if you've got all those things in place and you've already delegated and elevated out all of the key responsibilities, and if you happen to get picked up by a spaceship on the way home tonight, your company would still be an ongoing concern. That's awesome. You've created transferable value. Where I would guide a CEO at that point is, all right, let's think about the multiples that are paid for your industry. Most companies sell by some multiple of earnings before interest, depreciation, taxes, and amortization. Does the number that you're going to receive, does that get you where you want to go as you ride off into the sunset? And a lot of business owners forget there's a tax component. They also forget that there is all of the distribution or salary as a cash flow stream that you've been receiving that you're no longer going to receive. All the personal expenses that you've been running through your company, you don't get to do that anymore. So it's really getting an understanding as to whether what you're going to be able to sell the company for is going to meet your goal for your retirement income.
Yeah, that's such a great perspective. The other thing that comes to mind, which just happened to me yesterday, talking with a client, there is a price tag to selling that business too when you're engaging a M&A advisor or a business broker. And we found out for this particular client, that's a 6-figure amount.
It can be costly. There's lots of ancillary costs that come into play. We want to make sure that our clients understand, hey, this is what the reality is going to be that you're going to take home after you have a successful sale.
Yeah. And Peter, I'm wondering, as you're out there in the marketplace, are there any particular industries that you tend to gravitate towards?
Boy, there's no shortage with the number of new businesses that start every year and those that are successfully making it. There's no shortage of people that could use some help. I would tell you that we tend to do very, very well in the manufacturing space. We tend to do very well in the skilled labor space. But the truth is, what we want to work with are CEOs that are open-minded, they're growth-oriented, and they need to be vulnerable. They need to recognize that there are some things that they have to be self-aware enough to be able to change within their organization. The best CEOs that we encounter, Bill, are those that are a great combination of being inwardly focused and outwardly focused, meaning that they care about their clients, they care about their employees, they recognize how holistically all of those people need to work together, but they're also self-aware about themselves and whether they have great strengths, whether they have great weaknesses, they know themselves.
Yeah, excellent points. So Peter, for our listeners, if someone wants to reach out to you and get in touch with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, I think if you would like to learn more about the Profitability Coach, you should visit our website at theprofitabilitycoach.net. My contact information is on there. I would love to have a conversation to socialize what we do, how we do it, maybe share some success stories. Thanks again for having me on, Bill.
Yeah, well, and back at you. We're on our way to world domination, hopefully, right? One client at a time.
One client at a time.
I want to take a moment to share with our listeners, what's the difference between a profitability coach or a part-time CFO? We get that question a lot. Business owners often struggle with financial management, making external help crucial. Two common options are hiring a part-time CFO or a business profitability coach. Here are some main differences between the two to help you determine which one best fits your needs. A part-time CFO specializes in financial management, such as budgeting, reporting, cash flow management, and strategic financial planning. They typically provide high-level financial insights and help with long-term financial strategy. Meanwhile, a business profitability coach focuses on improving overall business profitability by optimizing processes, increasing sales, reducing costs, and enhancing operational efficiency. They focus on practical, actionable steps to improve day-to-day operations and drive immediate profitability gains. Of course, there are differences in the engagement duration for each, as well as the cost. Part-time CFOs are often engaged on an ongoing basis to provide continuous financial oversight and strategic planning. They're generally more expensive due to their specialized expertise and the comprehensive nature of their responsibilities. Business profitability coaches are typically hired for projects to address specific profitability issues and implement improvement plans quickly. They are usually more affordable, focusing on immediate practical strategies. If you're struggling to manage the financial side of your business, get help today. For more insight, check out theprofitabilitycoach.net. If you want to keep up with the latest in pro business news, follow us on LinkedIn and Instagram at The Profitability Coach. If you want to listen to past or future ProfitSense episodes, you can find us on ProfitSenseRadio.com. This is ProfitSense with Bill McDermott signing off. Make it a great day.